Retail has never been tougher. Only the truly unique can survive. Retail mastermind Feargal Quinn is here to show independent Irish retailers how it's done. The magic of Connemara has attracted tourists for generations. Today, the beautiful village of Spiddal, overlooking Galway Bay and the Aran Islands, is having to adjust to a new tourist economy. Standun, on the outskirts of Spiddal, is a clothing and giftware shop struggling in the wake of a dramatic fall in sales from American and overseas tourists.
This is a shop as it would have looked in 1946 when my parents bought the place here for £600. And it evolved from being a small little drapery shop into being like a trading post. Of course, the weather was beautiful in those days. In 1973, I would have taken over from my parents. Most of the tourists that time would have been American tourists. Over the last 10 years, the numbers of Americans are declining. A lot of our sales was Waterford, Crystal, Belique, all of that type of thing. The Europeans and the Irish don't have the same interest in that type of product.
Almost 1 million fewer tourists came to Ireland in 2009 compared to 2008. And that must have affected every business, particularly in the west of Ireland, which relies so much on tourism.
The business, it's in transition. We all need to survive from this business, so it's very important that going forward we make it profitable.
It's been in the family for about 65 years. It means a lot to us. I'd hate if anything happened while I was here that, you know, it went bust or something and it would be all my fault.
I always thought this was a tourist area. There clearly are a lot of people living in the area, local people with income and with money to spend.
Feargal surveys the village of Spiddal before arriving at Standun. Always mindful of first impressions, he isn't bowled over with the exterior of the shop.
It doesn't look very impressive from outside. I say this could do with an uplift of some sort. I must say I'm not excited with what I see here.
Things don't improve when Feargal inspects the inside of the store.
You know, when I walk into a shop, I like to be met by somebody, even if it's only somebody who says, "Hi, how are you? Welcome in to our stock." When I walked in here, I didn't see any sign of anybody. There wasn't even anybody at the counter. When I walk into the shop, I'm confused. I'm not terribly happy with the lighting. I'm not terribly happy with which direction I should go. And I'm not quite sure that the signage tells me what else is here, because I'm feeling I saw a coffee bar or something down at the back, but there's no sign of it.
When Feargal eventually finds the coffee bar and toilets, he's not convinced that the busloads of tourists or any new customers will feel they have the wow factor he's looking for.
I have a rule in business that says if you're going to do anything, you have to do it really well. If you don't, then they lose confidence in the other things you do as well.
Like, I have a good support system around.
Feargal is keen to meet the Standuns to see how he might help give life to a business with a rich tradition, trying hard to survive in a modern marketplace.
So it was a supermarket and butchery and filling station.
I was an undertaker and butcher at the same time. You know, they went very well together. And I'm sure the challenge for Cliona now is going to be even greater than it was for me at that time.
Now, so Cliona has taken over just recently.
March, yeah.
Don't know how easy or how difficult is it to hand over that responsibility to Cliona?
Well, I would say this is very easy and that I'm doing very, very well. Cliona might have a different opinion.
I suppose at the moment I still need the support system. It would be awful if I walked in and Mum and Dad walked out, because I'd have no one to kind of, you know, ask for advice.
Well, that's certainly something that you're going to have to face up to make those changes, and it's not going to be easy.
Feargal takes some time to reflect on the problem, studying the Standun business in terms of trends and financial standing.
One of the important elements is to recognise that there are different customers. And I think the key to success is being able to attract the Irish visitor, but hold on to the tourist. And to do that, I think we're really going to have to change the layout of the shop, make it much more interesting when you come into the shop and see how do we get the sort of products that the Irish would like. And that's going to have to be done through Cliona. Cliona is the new boss, the new face, the third generation. We've got to make sure that she's the one who's going to make these changes. I look forward to that task.
A few weeks later, and Feargal is back in Spiddal to help Standun reinvent itself and become a must-see destination in Connemara.
If the window display is catering mainly for foreign tourists, then we've got to find a way of catering for locals.
I'm not so sure that it's the window display that's going to make people stop.
Donald Standun, however, seems to be resisting some of Feargal's recommendations.
Turn around and look down there now. I have a concern when I come in here. I'm not sure what your layout is. I don't know the range of goods you have.
Would that not be part of the quaintness of the place? It's not like a grocery store where you can put all your confectionery on one side and then have your cheesemongers in another place.
Feargal is also keen to point out that the coffee shop and the toilets are a missed opportunity and could do with the revamp.
Cliona, your job then is all those people who are coming just to visit the toilet or just to have a cup of tea or coffee, is to make sure you don't let them through here without coaxing them to buy something. And that's where it pays for itself.
Which isn't quite as simple maybe as Feargal might think. I'm not saying he hasn't a point, he does. So it'll be interesting for me to see how Cliona's going to cope with that and how much of it she's going to take on board.
I'm going to fix a date in a few months' time and say to you, that's the day we're going to have the relaunch. I don't know whether Cliona has the ability to run an operation as big as this. Is she the right person? We'll find that out in the next few weeks.
Feargal wants to put Cliona to the test straight away, so he throws her in at the deep end to test her selling skills on Shop Street in Galway.
Cliona, I've brought you to Galway in order to help you find out, do they know about Standun? And if they do, what do they think of the products you're selling?
Have you heard of Standuns?
No.
Have you heard of Standuns?
I have.
Would you like to take a look at some of our clothing?
That dress. I really like that dress. That would be for our age group.
Who do you think our target market would be?
Anyone would be into it.
It's a lot more range than I would have expected, probably.
I expected to be all Aaron knits.
Yeah.
Cliona, what have you learned?
You know, they still think that we sell iron sweaters to tourists and not clothing to the Irish market.
Well, that's something we're going to have to work on.
Yeah, we'll need your help with that.
Well, we'll have a go and see how we get on with it.
Brilliant.
Back in Standun, a shop fitter has arrived to present some ideas for the new look store.
How do you feel at that first glance?
The only concern I'd have is that it looks a bit modern. Like, I don't want it to become kind of too like a high street shop or a bit generic.
Feargal has also brought in Lara Snyder, an expert in merchandising and retail design with a wealth of experience with world-renowned retailers such as Ralph Lauren and Anthropologie. Lara is concerned that the Standuns are not putting their best foot forward.
The Standun store is the visual equivalent of a run-on sentence. Basically, there aren't any commas, any periods, any punctuation. There's nothing in the store stopping you to look at product. If we want to talk about props and visual merchandising, I mean, really, this says grocery store. This doesn't say beautiful quality materials.
I must say, from my point of view, I think the changes there will stop somebody in their tracks.
I think there's a blueprint there for it to go forward, but I'd like to see more detail.
As the design meeting develops, there are some differing views about where to put the coffee shop.
Like, my only concern is losing the view.
We're not losing the view, actually. You know, the windows are going to remain.
Wasn't it interesting to see Cliona and Donald, the shade of difference there was between them?
The shelving used here, all you see are the sides of wok boxes and Christmas mugs. There's plenty of space in the stockroom, and it's unnecessary, really. It unfortunately feels more like a charity shop than it feels like a family-owned shop that has been in the area for several generations. And I think that we need to really look at bringing the store into the 21st century.
Feargal now wants Lara Snyder to offer her views on merchandising and display.
You know, is this the best entry into the houseware area?
I mean, it's not something we're proud of, but we're not entering a competition for display. And people do buy more of the items very often that are badly displayed
Well, I would say there's probably no need for bad display ever in stores, because even for sale items that you really want to get rid of, you can find a clever way of displaying them.
Definitely. Like, I agree with you on everything you say.
I've seen a lot of your work where you have a jar of flowers and a mannequin and you have nothing for another 5 meters. It's kind of minimalist. I'd be just a little bit nervous that it would be less commercial and that it wouldn't send out the signal that it's value for money.
Donald wasn't accepting that too readily. He was querying it, he was questioning it. And you know what? I really think that Cleana is going to have to stand up and say, Dad, I disagree with you. Let's do this.